Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. My name is Jackson Mummy, and each week we'll be bringing you updated information about the bar exam and what you need to do in order to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. Ready to get started? Let's jump to it. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is Wednesday, March 22nd, and we are back from our sabbaticals after the February bar exam. Yay! And now we're in the waiting period. Also fun. So we've got our coaches with us. We are glad to have all of you back with us. Hope everybody is doing well. What we're going to do today is take the questions we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. We'll address as many of those as we can. We've got some updates and information about different things going on in the world of the bar exam. And then we will wrap up with some thoughts from Judge Dawson. She's going to talk about two monks and a bundle of wood. I don't know what. Got no idea what that means. Anyway, glad to have everybody here. Brianna, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I am glad that we're already here in the next season. So
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how here we are in March, and I know that the July version of our students will appreciate that the March version of them started working, won't they?
oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And by the way, I wasn't thinking about talking about this, but Brianna offers a time management workshop that is a great way to get your schedule set up and your studies set up, and encourage you to take advantage of that if you haven't. It's a terrific resource. And Amanda, you are with us. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Glad to have you with us. The next thing we want to talk about, we're very excited. We've got our next boot camp coming up. It's here in the Denver, Colorado area. It's May 19th and 20th. I'm going to be joined by June and by Tracy, which should be fun. And we may have some special surprises and guests for you. This is a 2-day live training, and we're limiting it to 15 students. Now, in the past, we've done these boot camps and they've been very successful and we've sold out. So we decided to do something a little different this time. You now need to apply for boot camp. And with your application, there's a few questions that we're going to ask you. With the application, we're requiring a refundable $100 deposit. That's to make sure that you're serious about doing this. But after you've paid the deposit, if you are accepted into boot camp, your $100 deposit will be applied to your boot camp fee. If you're not accepted, or if you change your mind, we'll refund the full $100 to you. So it's totally no risk. It's just a way for us to make sure that we've got people who are serious and we're not holding the seat for somebody that's not going to do anything. The quiz is very simple. It just helps us understand what you need and what you're looking for during boot camp. And let me just jump over to you, Tracy. You've not done boot camp before, but we've talked a little bit about what's going to be going on there. What's your thought about the value of something like this?
The value, of course, is being in the room with the energy of the teachers. We do a great job, I think, on Zoom, but there is nothing like being one-on-one in the same room, being able to ask questions, ask follow-up questions that we can't always do on these short Q&As or the coaching calls. It's getting your whole mindset, I think, and your whole person geared up for this exam. And you do it through immersion. And that's the only way you can do it. Jackson's very cerebral and he gives you all of this information. But I think the boot camp is an opportunity to put it all together and make it into a cohesive whole for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good. And you're going to be there to do what you've done in the past, which is the mindset coaching, also to keep me from walking into walls and making mistakes. But talk a little bit about boot camp from your perspective.
I just want to say one reason why we're doing the applications this year is we want to make sure that you're all in. Like the more you're all in and you're wanting to participate and your head is in it, the more you will get out of it. That's super, super important because it is a lot of stuff, but it's so cool doing it live. We can do a lot more in a few days live than we can virtually. And we're able to pick up on your body language, your tone, your voice, your eyes, what's going on. All of that is really important when you're studying, like even how you sit when you study. And all of that can make or break you in a long haul study program. So we're there just in person. There's nothing that compares to it. And you're able to meet us and see that we're real and what we're like. And see that Jackson's actually pretty funny in person. And again,
But
I know I'm just shocker, but he really is. And
Right.
there's just nothing like being in person and hanging out. Not only that, some of the best friendships I have seen have come out of boot camp from student to student. And I
Yeah.
think it's super important to have that little study buddy or study partner that kind of walks you through this. I know for the February student, we had some ladies and some guys who became good friends and they carried each other through that exam. And so I think that was super important too, to have that because while we're all here, we're not really in the thick of it like you are. And so it's
Yeah.
super, I think, important to have someone cheering you on who's going through it as well.
Yeah. And just to put this in perspective, when we did boot camps pre-COVID, we were at 40 to 50 people. So
Yeah.
15 is a small, very personalized group. But when we look at who's passed the bar, people that come to boot camp generally do pretty well on the exam. So I think it's a big win. We're going to teach you how to photo read. If you're already a photo reader, we're going to enhance that skill. We're going to show you how to mind map. That's a huge skill. We're going to show you how to apply all of these things to essay writing and to MBE questions and to every piece that you need to your studies. And then we're going to work through all of the steps and the mindset and the work that you need to do. Your fee will cover everything except your transportation and hotel. And I think you're going to love it. I know the people who've been at boot camp rave about it, and we encourage you to do that. Plus, you'll also receive membership in our virtual boot camp course, which gives you a ton of resources, paraliminals, all sorts of other things that we've got. So I hope you do that. We'd love to see you. If you've got questions, let us know. Okay,
If
great.
you don't find what you're looking for, just email me and I'll answer all the questions and get you what you need.
Okay, cool. I want to talk for just a minute about what was on the February 2023 exam. I want to just jump to Amanda and Brianna for just any general reaction or feedback that you got post-exam. Any thoughts, anything that jumped out at either of you post-exam? Amanda, anything for you?
Yeah, I'm like actually thinking about it because one of the interesting, like I was actually deep in thought. One of the interesting things about this exam is there wasn't a ton of post-exam feedback. And I wonder
Yeah.
if that goes to one's preparedness. Because usually I hear from students right away
Yeah.
and or like in the community group where they'll just reach
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But I heard a lot right before of students in a very good mental place. And I wonder if they also took the advice of not to postmortem this exam, like, and just not think about it too much in terms of, oh, going over what I got wrong and just it's in the universe now and I did my best. But I thought that as a group, we all prepared well for that, putting your best foot forward no matter what happens. Yeah, Brianna, I'm interested if you heard anything.
No, I'm in the same boat as you. I didn't get a whole lot of feedback myself. I think I got one comment that was just mind blown a little bit about maybe the difference in how the MBE questions were asked. But I think that's just the nature of the beast. And then I think, Jackson, you didn't give yourself enough credit because there was one topic I think I did happen to watch your preview. And there was one topic you had basically changed from like a 1 or a 2 to a 3 or a 4. And that ended up being, I don't know if you gave yourself enough credit there, but
Well, I had a little spidey sense about that. Yeah, but I agree. I think people were pretty well prepared. And in the postmortems that I did with people, it was pretty favorable. In fact, we sent out a survey of our February students. We just asked them, how prepared did you feel? And it was interesting. Statistically, 97% of them said, I felt prepared. I felt good about the course. I felt good about what I did and the way I prepared. And whether they were working with me or Tracy or Brianna or Amanda or June or some combination of all of them, there was this general sense of it didn't surprise me. The exam didn't hit me over the come up from behind and surprise me. Just say, if you look at the community group, you will see the listing of subjects. I think maybe rather than tell you subject by subject, state by state, which is a bit tedious, I'll just tell you that in general, the exams did not go as politically as I thought they might. This was an interesting development to me. I was particularly concerned in Florida. I thought we might see some questions that bordered on some of the new legislation that came out. They stayed away from that. Across the country, this was a pretty generic exam. We saw a lot of business entities. We saw a lot of civil procedure. That's not a surprise in most jurisdictions, but we had a lot of MBE subjects like property and torts and contracts. And I like that. When that happens, I would feel better that we got a pretty solid exam in front of us, not too much weirdness out there. Even in the UBE, where we had typically we get some multi-state subjects and some non-multi-state subjects. We got mostly multi-state subjects. It was 4 of the 6 essays were in multi-state topics. I thought that was good news. So in general, I think the reaction is positive. If any of you heard something that was weird or crazy, jump in here. But for the most part, I think it was a pretty benign exam, wasn't it? Going to be interesting when we get those kinds of exams, given the last few years where it's been a little bit crazy. I think the other thing that I would say is we are just about to head into the results season, obviously. We're March 22nd today. We'll start seeing our first results at the very end of March. A couple of small jurisdictions will report out in early April. And then our first big jurisdiction will be Florida, and Florida will report their results April 11th. So that's the first big one. I describe that as the canary in the coal mine. We'll know with the Florida results pretty early on how the MBE went and what that exam looked like. And that's usually the one that we watch first to see what's going to happen. Some of the UBE jurisdictions, small ones, will report out before that. Typically, we won't see the big jurisdictions like Texas and New York until later in April or early May. We won't get California until May 5th. And then Georgia, I don't know, man, sometime in May. We'll get it sometime back there. I would also point out that if you are listening to this or watching this and you're not a registered student in our course, we do have, if you took the February exam, we have a program called Study Insurance. What this means is that you can sign up on the monthly payment program and start your studies now. And if your results come back from February and you pass, yay, we will cancel your payment plan with us and we're done. But if you weren't successful, you will have gained that time. And I want to just talk for a minute about this. Brianna, is there an advantage to starting to study now if you're in that situation where you think you might have failed in February?
Oh, absolutely. The sooner you get started studying, the more you can keep your anxiety at bay once you maybe do get that result you're anticipating. I think that there's also something to be said for picking up that schedule again, picking up some of those extra study hours now versus later. All of it is beneficial. And also, even if you haven't started studying, maybe you're just postponing, you're waiting to start studying for July. Do not wait. Start today. The earlier you get started, the earlier you get through that substantive material, and you can move into that review phase. And in that review phase, you're going to do the work. You're doing the work, you're learning the material, so you don't have to fall into that memorization tunnel that a lot of students can fall into. Doing that practice problem, doing the essays, doing the multiple choice, that's where all of the real stuff starts happening. So the earlier you jump back into it, the earlier you're going to find your groove and get through the material. So I think start new.
Yeah. Amanda, you want to comment about that?
Absolutely. One thing I'll add, I'd echo everything Brianna said. One thing I'd add is that you don't know what life has ahead, right? In the next couple of months, and the curveballs it's going to throw at you. People get sick, family members get sick. A pandemic happened one time. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. you get this buffer so that you are prepared if something does happen, like you've built in that crisis time, because unfortunately life doesn't stop for the bar exam. So I wouldn't say yes, start early, and like steady is the like continuous uninterrupted study week after week is best. If you get interrupted, you started early and you've built in that buffer, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it. And I think that if people can get started now, it will benefit them enormously. That's why we've offered to study insurance if you're not in our course. If you're in our course, your course has stayed enabled. We didn't take you out of anything. So you can resume your studies if you feel that you need to. And I think we're now reaching that point after a few weeks off, where if you think that the exam did not go well, I would start doing some light work and study. If you're in our course, you don't have to do as much as somebody that's not in the course. So I think that's the big difference. That's one of the things that I see there. The protocol around students in our course, when you get your results, we're going to ask that you let us know. Sometimes people think we know them. We don't. There are 49 jurisdictions out there. We just don't know when they all drop their results. So let us know your results. Send us a copy of your score sheet. I make individualized videos for every student that has to retake the exam. And I need your score sheet to do that. But we will set you up immediately. We have a lifetime pass guarantee. So you're not going to pay if you're in our course to retake the exam, and we'll get you started right away. I want to just comment for a minute, and if anybody else wants to jump in, feel free. But when results come out, if they're not favorable, one of the hardest things to do is to pivot and to start thinking about the next exam. But it is absolutely vital that you not wallow in that moment for very long. The time, every day that happens is a big deal. June, you want to talk to that for just a minute?
Yeah, I think it's super important to look at it and have a moment with it. It's okay to be angry or upset or sad or whatever emotion you're feeling. And I want you to feel that. I don't want you to become friends with it. Like, I don't want you to let it hang on. Sit with it. It might take you a couple days. It's okay. Then get back up and go, because this is not about you or your value or your character or who you are. It's a test. And some of our greatest learning curves are from failure. I don't love the word fail. I wish we could call it a learning experience or a life experience, because just in my history, anything I've ever not succeeded at or failed, I learned the most from. And so actually, it's a good part of the human experience to have some failure, because it does teach us our important life lessons, and it makes us more resilient. And resiliency is what gets you through the hard stuff. It is the backbone to everything in life. So yeah, feel it, take a moment, take a day or two, and then move past it. Get back in, and don't carry that luggage or baggage with you. Drop it off. And it's a new test. It's a new start. And I know it can be hard to look at it that way, but try. And the more you do, the easier it becomes to look at it that way. The majority of students that I coach, that is what I hear is the past tests that weigh them down. Seriously, let it go, because it's not you or who you are today of who you were then. And each time it's a chance to become better and succeed. I'd love to hear what Tracy has to say about this.
Yeah, I like to say that in 40 years of law practice, I never lost a case. But that would be
You big liar.
That would be a big lie. It would be a big lie. And I'd like to say I never lost a client, and maybe knew why or didn't know why, or I didn't snag the client to begin with. Or having had the client and done the research, have to tell the client, look, this is a dead bang loser. There's nothing like the debrief after you have gone in and you have not received the result that you were hoping for. And whether that's in a trial, and you guys are going to be lawyers. If it's writing a brief, if it's, and your brief gets rejected, your position gets rejected, partner tells you that they don't like what you wrote, it's not up to standard. There is nothing like the debrief to help you learn and be better the next time. So every time I went to a jury trial, every time I had a trial, I had a trusted colleague that I would go and sit with and have a cup of coffee and talk about and do the debrief on what happened and what I learned from it. Jackson actually takes the time to put an individual video together for students who have not been successful with the bar. And I cannot tell you how important that would be, because even if you didn't pass the bar this time around, I'm going to bet that you did a lot better because you were in this class. And the next time, maybe you can get over that bar. But don't you want to know what your growing edges are and the things that you did well? And so I encourage you to take advantage of the
Yeah. Yeah.
I won almost every case. And as a judge, I
You-
won every
you-
case.
You won every case. Yeah.
Because I
These
just
judges are so annoying, aren't they? Brianna, I just want to jump to you real quickly because I know you went through the process where you weren't successful and then had to cycle back around and then you killed the exam. You want to just talk to this for just a minute?
I'd love to. I can tell you firsthand how defeated I felt. Just defeating it feels, failing the exam over and over again. And I didn't realize for the past decade, I had defined myself as a failure. And taking the bar exam again and rising back up to that challenge changed me in a way that I can't even describe. Understanding and digging in deep and trying to find that resilience and that determination and that drive, and then being successful makes you feel like you're on top of the world and that you are capable of anything. But it's almost like you have to hit that rock bottom and you have to hit that failure. You have to hit the lowest low to find out what you're truly capable of, and being able to pick yourself back up and find out that you are capable of passing the exam. Like I said, I feel like a new person, and being able to come back from failing the exam and then being successful on the exam. But don't get me wrong, it's no easy feat. Being able to swallow that defeat, that failure, that no. How many times in our lives have we been told no over and over again, and then trying to find that yes, and what that yes is going to mean for you is probably one of the most important things you can do. I do want to add two things. The first being, and these are the quotes that I lived by, okay? When I was trying to pick myself back up, it's not failure, it's feedback. Just because someone has given you a big fat F and said, you failed. No, it is feedback. Everybody is on their own path. Everybody is on their own journey. They are just telling you that you have to do something different. You may not be able to go down this path that somebody else went down, and you've got to find a different way to find your yes. That's number one. The second is, I'm not going to say it verbatim, but it's a quote by Winston Churchill, that being, definition of success is the ability to go from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. And what that means for me is, if I'm not going from failure to failure, I'm not successful. If I'm not being told no, if I'm not getting that failure, I'm not living life. You've got to be able to pick back up and learn from that no, from that failure, and move on and move forward. So you've got to pick
That's
yourself
awesome.
up, dig
Yeah.
deep, find your drive, find your why.
Cool. That's great feedback. Amanda, I didn't go to you, but you got anything that you want to add to this as well? You're one of those people that just charged through and was massively successful, but we've worked with a lot of students that have not had that success.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that I would say about that is that, and we've talked about this over and over again, but I think starting out, it's important to remember is that that is not because I am extraordinarily smart, although I might have special skills, or I worked harder than anybody else, or I'm a better lawyer than anybody else, right? Many of not passing on the first time has to go to mindset and life circumstances, and the bar a racist, classist, sexist exam.
Yeah. Other than that,
And
it's a great test.
yeah, exactly. But so you don't have to define yourself by this or compare yourself to somebody who passed or got an ultra good score. And those of us who care about that and are now on the other side are raising those issues. I was just in because I waved into Massachusetts. I passed into Massachusetts, waved into New Hampshire, and I was just fulfilling my professional obligation. First class you have to take in Massachusetts, and there's an equity portion that the Mass Bar puts on, which is just it's really interesting to me that. And I did speak. I was the only one who spoke up, and then just raising the point that as we're having this equity conversation, we're all here because we passed the UBE, is put on by the NCBE that Massachusetts has chosen to adopt, with all we know about that. So I think we should all reflect on what it means now to be a member of this. Just don't tie it to, it's hard not to, as Brianna said, you're looking at this failure, but from the early onset, I think it's good to practice not tying this to my worth as a person or my value as an attorney.
Yeah. I want to make one sort of ancillary comment to all this, because I know there's a lot in the news today about artificial intelligence and Chat GPT passing the bar exam and so on. Don't take that stuff too seriously. Chat GPT had to take the exam multiple times to learn how to pass it, and it had access to all of the information that's out there in the world and still had trouble. We are not yet in a world where a computer can take the exams, and don't wrap yourself around that particular axle when results come out one way or the other. I will say that one of the innovations that we are talking about, Brianna talked about going from failure to failure. Over the 30 years that I've run Celebration Bar Review, we have tried a lot of things. Most of them worked, a few of them didn't. One of the things we're working on right now that I'm very excited about, and we will tell you more in the weeks to come, is that we have entered into an agreement with an artificial intelligence company to actually offer an alternative. As you've got the model and sample answers to essays already in the course, and then you have the ability to work with a coach, Tracy or Brianna or Amanda or myself, and we encourage that. But we also know that may be cost prohibitive for some people. So we are actually developing an artificial intelligence ability to take the essays that you write and have them graded by effectively ChatGPT. And it's fascinating, and we'll share with you as we start to do some of that. But that is an alternative that some of you may want. And I'm kind of excited about that. We'll see what happens. But anyway, results will start coming out. We will deal with that. I expect that our results will continue to be better than the averages, as they have been for many years. And I'm excited to start getting the results. I know all the coaches are. We wait here on the sidelines going, did that person pass? Did that person pass? And we're excited when those come out. We'll keep you up to date. All right. I want to jump to, thanks for the comments, all of you. I want to jump to some of the questions we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. We got several questions that said, in effect, I took the bar exam in February. One student said, I didn't study at all for it, but I didn't cancel it, so I took it. If I fail, will I be able to retake your class free of charge? The answer is yes. We have the lifetime pass guarantee. There are no hidden conditions. If you didn't pass, you get to keep taking the exam until you pass. Another student said, I had a delay in resuming studying because of taking on a new job, logistics, a divorce, unfortunately. How does that affect my membership? I've registered for the exam, but will my course end at the end of the February exam date? No, you are in the course until we get notice that you've passed. How do I extend this to July? Just let us know. When your results come out, let us know. If you didn't take the exam, let us know that. You are in the course until you pass. So there is some. Another question was, is there a coaching course that comes with the basic success course? The answer is no, that's an add-on. You can work with Tracy in California. You can work with Brianna or Amanda in the UBE. You can work with me in any jurisdiction. We have a variety of different programs. As I said, we may be able to offer this artificial intelligence product before the July exam, and that would be an interesting opportunity as well. If you're in the basic course, however, let me just tell you, we have lots of people that pass all the time with that course. It's got all of the sample and model answers. It's got the step-by-step for performance tests and essay writing. So you're not missing out on anything there. Next question that I had was, I'm interested in one-on-one coaching assistance for the July bar. I've been rescheduling because I don't think I'm ready, but I'm not, but now I want to carve out the time. I think this is the time. I'm interested in a guided course option, this one-on-one coaching. Let me throw this out to the coaches. From your perspective, what's the value of getting the one-on-one coaching? Amanda, let me just start with you. You've been on both sides of this now. What is the value as you see it?
Yeah, so I think interestingly enough, I was actually thinking about this when you're talking about chat, like GBT, creative
Yeah.
ways we can use it, right? I think that nothing replaces the what you learned from interacting with another person face to face here in the Zoom world, as face to face as we can be, and the learning that you gain from that, and the feedback, and the way that we can cater that feedback to best suit your learning needs and what you need in the moment, right? So if you hand an essay to us and we're able to say, you work on this first, you do it in steps, right? Rather than having to you might read a model answer or something graded by a chat thing and think, oh my goodness, where do I go from here? There's no plan of attack or plan of development for you. So I think that kind of coaching is invaluable, as well as the mindset coaching, right? Something that definitely artificial intelligence hasn't grasped yet, and the time management, right? How we can relate to others, and that can help us. And I know I benefited immensely as a student from Jackson's writing coaching, and I could not have done it otherwise. I think I would have had a totally different experience on the bar had it not been for that, or just struggled through my studying and beat myself up. And then complementing that with June's for mindset, which again, like Brianna said, made me a better person. And I think it's so wonderful we provide services that allow students to come out of this dogfight, or whatever you want to call it, of this huge storm, better people, right? And more thankful for what they have with greater tools. So
Yeah.
that's what I have to
Yeah.
say about it.
Cool. I know that each of the coaches could probably talk about the benefits of coaching. For time purposes, I'm going to jump on, but I think that if you're thinking about it, you should do it. I think we would all say it's to your benefit to do the personal coaching if you can do it, whether it's the writing workshop with Brianna or the longer pieces. So there's a lot there. We'll be talking more about that as we go along, but absolutely worth doing. We got an interesting question from a student that I wanted to share because I think it's got some interesting possibilities. Student said, I'm loving the course. I'm glad that I'm doing this again after 10 years after passing another bar exam. Here's my issue, this student said. Practice continues to grow. I'm working 60 to 70 hours a week at work. I literally pass out around 8 p.m. while I'm studying for the bar, and I start the day at 4 a.m. Brianna, you'd love that. Any thoughts or suggestions on how to manage this? My apps are really helpful, but I'm struggling a bit to keep up. So let me throw that to you, Brianna. What's your take on that, since that's in your wheelhouse with the scheduling and the timing?
It is like I would try to figure out what the student is starting. I need to know their entire day. Why are they waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
to pass out at 8 o'clock in the morning? I am a huge proponent of getting the most important work done at the very beginning of your day. That way life doesn't have an opportunity to get in the way and to get distracted. Let's face it, if you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 90% of the US isn't up at that time yet. You're already ahead of the game. But so that's the first question. If you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do other duties and responsibilities, I think that you would need to see if maybe you can get your studies in at that time and then shift some of those other duties and responsibilities later. The second piece would be set yourself up for success by postponing. Don't shoot for taking the July bar. Let's shoot for taking maybe the February or even the following July bar. So you can set up a schedule that's going to be workable. So you're not trying to do huge chunks of study hours in your day. And then trying to work on those weekends, more hours on the weekends instead of during the work week, or can you spread out your work day? So instead of doing 60 to 70 hours, maybe during your Monday through Friday, let's see if we can stretch that out over the weekends to create some more time. Because let's face it, there is only 24 hours in a day. So you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice in order to be able to add goal achieving hours into your day.
Yeah. And it's a constant theme we hear. We had another question from a student that was very much in this same vein. They said, I'm taking the bar in July, but I have moderate to severe ADD. I struggle with focus for the long sustained periods. I get fatigued quickly. My concern is maintaining mental focus and acuity. And my reading comprehension and short-term memory need work. And then they said, I'm working on photo reading. Photo reading is a big part of this answer, I would say, for any student. Photo reading and mind maps are shortcuts, if you will, into the material. If you're starting now, you're going to get the benefit of repetition. And one of the things I would caution all of you is to not grind on a subject at this point in time. Keep moving through the subjects, keep going through them, stay in the timeframes that we've given you, whether you're a photo reader or not, so that you get the benefit of the repetition at the end. Amanda, you're a big proponent of this repetition idea, right? Of getting there and letting the course work through and give you that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And see the material from a variety of different ways and in a variety of different ways.
Yeah. And so I think what happens is if you're studying in March for the July exam, you're not behind. Okay. There's no way that you're behind, but you don't need 8 or 9 hours a day either. So it's, as Brianna said, find a focus, get in, get to it, get through it, and move on. Even if you don't think you're remembering or memorizing it, because that's not the way this course is built. And so give yourself a chance for the repetition to work and expand for you. And I think that that's a big part of what happens. Tracy, go ahead.
This particular student is showing a lot of self-awareness, but I would encourage the student to read the email a few times because your answer is in there. You say that you're having difficulty studying for long periods of time and you're worried about the essays and things. I think it was the California bar. Well, don't go 8 or 9 hours at a day. Go a couple hours, take a break, go a couple more hours, maybe even work an hour at a time. And then you're going to be in the mindset of these essays that are an hour. Each one is a break from the last one. And so self-awareness is so important at this stage. What are your struggles? We all are going to have them. And what are your gifts that you have? And the gift is that maybe on short spurts, you can concentrate. So start modeling how you need to be in the exam.
Yeah, I totally agree with Tracy. And a big thing is to not compare yourself to anybody else. I always ask students not to talk to other friends who are studying. Comparing ourselves to someone else's journey is actually cheating us of our own. And we're not all the same. We don't all learn the same. We don't all do the same things. And that's great. That's where diversity and all that comes from and makes this place, this world awesome. But one thing I like to hone in on is set yourself up for success by giving yourself goals that you can actually meet. A lot of students go overboard on what they think they can do. Baby steps, baby bites. This is why I love Brianna's time management. It's baby steps, baby bites. You get some wins under your belt and you hit those goals and it feels good and you're confident. Confidence gets stronger. And then you see yourself doing more and it just gives you the momentum. So to start with, because I get this all the time, June, I don't know how to start. Sign into the course. That's how you start. It's real easy. You just do it one step at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Marathon. We are not running a sprint. One step, baby bite, micro bits, and give yourself a treat for hitting your goal. We do it for children. Why don't we do it for ourselves? Give yourself.
Yeah. I like the idea of rewards for sure.
Yeah, give
Yeah.
yourself a
Absolutely.
reward I actually, when Brianna does their time management, whatever their end of week is, I have them post what their treat will be or their reward will be. And it can be anything from an ice cream to a candy bar to a shopping spree, whatever. And then give it to yourself and don't feel guilty. Enjoy it. And even a candy bar, I'll tell you what, guys, after a week of study, that will be the best damn Snickers you ever had in your life. It is the little things that build us up and keep us motivated. And it's important. And again, stop saying thinking you can do everything. You can't. Start with small bites. And then when you see where you're at, do a little more, do a little more. And that's why I think this works, especially if you're ADD or ADHD. Don't sit for 8 hours. Tracy said, I'm not, and I couldn't sit for 8 hours. Do what you can do, but be consistent about it.
We got a ton of those kind of comments over the past few weeks. People saying, I'm going slow. Stay in the study plan. It says how long each assignment should take. Don't take longer. Even if you feel like you're not getting it, just keep moving. The course is built to have an iterative repetition impact. And so we just need you to stay with that. And if you're getting stuck, hop on a group coaching call with any of our coaches. This is a great place for accountability. It's a great place to ask that question and to get the response not only from our coaches, but from other students. And I think it's a way to do it. So I'm glad people are reaching out. I'm glad they're asking those questions. They're valid questions. And yay, you that you're even thinking about the bar exam in March. That puts you way ahead of a lot of people. Trust me, there are a ton of folks that haven't even started to think about this at all. There you go. A couple of other quick questions, then we're going to jump to Tracy. The student said, I'd like to see an example of photo reading. You can find that on the photo reading page to order it. There are some examples there. There are also some videos with students, or you can go to learningstrategies.com. They have lots of videos there. And we posted some information on the community group about photo reading from our friends, Paul Sheely and Millicent St. Clair. Millicent actually did the initial boot camps with us. And she was my trainer when I was learning how to teach photo reading. So you'll love those. Those are great examples of photo reading and perfect way to find that out.
We got another question regarding that. Does photo reading work online or is it just with printed books?
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. I do all my photo reading digitally. It worked perfectly with online. You can use it to read from an iPad or a tablet or a laptop. I think it's tough to use on a phone, but only because it's tough to move my fingers around on the phone. But you do not need printed books alone. So no problem there. Okay, great.
And we do have a question. I've not been able to study at all since the end of February. I still can't use my right hand. I feel like I've lost my mojo. No, you haven't. Can I restart from the beginning? I feel it will flow better.
Yeah, sure. It's not easy to go along with. Sure. If you want to start from the beginning, you can. You have the time to do that right now. You don't have to. If you've been studying, you can pick it up. Again, we're going to repeat everything anyway, but if you feel better starting at the beginning, sure, go ahead. You just have to schedule appropriately. I would recommend sitting down with Brianna and using the time management workshop to get that scheduled and figured out, but absolutely you can do that. So good.
Jackson,
All right.
Jackson, can I iterate real quick? This is one of those moments where I think you should just trust your gut. If that's what it feels good for you, and trust your gut. And that kind of goes through the whole course. Just trust your gut. If you feel like you need to start over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And trust your gut is a good way to go with that. Or get a Snickers at the end of the week. I'm not sure which. All right. Tracy, you told me you wanted to talk about monks and wood, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So 2 monks who sat for the February bar, I'll just make it very apropos to you all, were walking on a journey and they came to a bridge. And at the front of the bridge was a big, huge bundle that said, "Bar exam bundle. Please take me across the bridge." And they looked at each other and they wondered whether that was meant for them. And the one monk said, no, I got enough in my life. I'm not dealing with this at all. I don't even like to talk about bar exam and all this stuff that we've been talking about today. And the other one said, I think this was meant for us, and I'm going to pick it up and put it on my back and take it across the bridge. But I want to look inside of it first. So they opened the bundle, and inside the bundle were questions that didn't get answered on their exam because they didn't have time to get to them. Essays that did not get completed, law that didn't get learned, mind maps that didn't get memorized, videos that went out of their mind, lectures, self-doubt, anger, fear, anxiety, others' negative judgments and doubts that the test could be passed, busy schedules, bags of heavy pennies instead of lightweight dollars, family conflicts, illness, burnout, and feelings that the test was unfair due to cultural standards. So the one monk put the bundle on their back, and it was very heavy, very difficult to take. And the other one didn't take any of the bundle, but all the way across the bridge complained about everything that was in the bundle and just went on and on with criticizing the class that they took, the exam itself, the exam location, everything about it. And the monk that just had the bar exam bundle just trundled across the bridge. And when they got to the end of the bridge, the monk set down the bundle, thanked it, and started walking along with their friend, who continued to talk about the bar exam, continued to talk about how unfair it was, continued to talk about how they couldn't get it all memorized, continued to talk about how the timing was wrong, continued to talk about their busy schedule and how they couldn't possibly fit and study in and blah, 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 and just gone and on. And finally, the one that carried the bundle stopped and looked at their friend and said, I set that bundle down at the end of the bridge. When are you going to set it down? Set the bundle down. That was them. Start now.
Okay, there's some wisdom. I got to tell you, there's some of you are carrying that bundle and you need to let go of it. And you all can't see it, but I'm looking across and all of the coaches are going, yeah, that's it, right? Sometimes you just got to let go of it and move on and keep moving. So thank you very much for that. That is awesome. All right. So we will be back next Wednesday.
And I just want to say thank you, Tracy. The big thing is nothing good or new can come into your life if you're so full of the old stuff that's clouding everything. So let go and open up so the good things you are wanting can come in. You just got to make room for it.
And I think when I talk to students and I get feedback, so many of them tell me that this course changed their life in substantial ways, not just passing the bar, but it just had this impact on their life. And it's because they were open to it, right? This is not a dump and run. Here's a bunch of information and we just leave you. It's something different. I hope if you're just coming into our universe, you're beginning to get that flavor and feeling. And I hope you take advantage of it. We have tried to design the course over the years to reflect this concept of the whole person and what it means. And as Amanda said earlier, the test is unfair, but our goal here is to help you get across the bridge, and you can do that. And so as results start to come out, we're going to get some real wins and victories, and we're going to celebrate all of those. If you're not one of the people that got one of those wins, whether it was with us or with somebody else, don't give up. Just don't give up. You can do this. You can make it. This is an extraordinarily talented group of people that we've assembled on your behalf. And I hope you can get that feeling even in these short periods of time that we get to get together each week. Take advantage of the resources that we offer, whether it's group coaching or it's individual one-on-one coaching, or it's photo reading, or it's time management, or it's mindset coaching. All of these things are there to help you be successful. So it's great to be back with all of you, coaches and team. It's great to be back with all of you who are preparing. Give yourselves a big pat on the back for being engaged and involved now in March for the upcoming exam. You are going to benefit so much from that. And we know that. And so we hope that you will continue to pursue that. And we will look forward to seeing all of you again next week. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Brianna. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, June. Thanks to all of you. And with that, we're going to say bye, and we'll see you again next Wednesday. Take care, everybody.